again ask those who are not speaking to please hold your questions and or stay on mute until you are called upon to avoid any background noise. Please be advised that this media briefing is being recorded and will be posted publicly afterwards. I would like to quickly introduce the city's spokespeople here today to provide an update and answer questions. Mayor Andrea Horvath, Carlisle Can, Acting City Manager, Laura Fontana, Executive Director, Human Resources. With that, I will turn it over to Mayor Horvath, who will provide opening remarks.
Thanks very much, Michelle. Good, thank you for joining us. As Michelle said, I'm here with Acting City Manager Carlisle Can and Executive Director of Human Resources, Laura Fontana. We're here to provide an update to the public on the transit disruption that began this morning and the city's desire to reach a resolution quickly and fairly. This morning, ATU Local 107 went on strike, resulting in the disruption of transit services across the city of Hamilton. This is not where we want to be. Strikes of any kind are hard on people. They're hard on workers who take such pride in their jobs. They're hard on the residents of Hamilton who rely on our transit services each and every day. They're hard on the city, which takes great pride in its role as employers and in serving the people of Hamilton. I believe deeply in organized labor and in our workers. Our whole city does. You know me and you know my background. As a member of the media pointed out yesterday, in fact, I was involved in resolving Hamilton's last transit strike 25 years ago in 1998. That strike, if folks recall, had stretched on for 12 weeks when I was brought in by then Regional Chair Terry Cook. I was a relatively new city councillor at the time, but I was also someone who was trusted by labor and who would provide people a frank and trustworthy assessment of the situation. I said then what I'll say now. The city's final offer is reasonable and will not change. I said that then because it was the truth. I say it now because it's the truth. Yesterday, my city council colleagues and I received an update from our city bargaining team, and I'm here to update the public on why a resolution has not been reached. These negotiations are underpinned by facts that we cannot change. These are the facts. The reason we have not yet come to an agreement comes down to one thing and one thing alone: wages. The city's final offer, which was requested by the union, was a 12.75% increase over 4 years. That's nearly identical to the offer that was accepted by the city's largest union, CUPE 5167, 3,000 members, just a few months ago. Our bargaining team informed us, the council, that the increase requested by the ATU local of 900 workers over 4 years is approximately 23%. That amount over 4 years translates to an additional $17 million in wages that would have to be covered by increased transit fares or increases to Hamilton's property taxes, or both. The City of Hamilton is also engaging in something that we've done for some time. It's called pattern bargaining. What that means is that offers that are extended to one union during bargaining are then used as a precedent for offers to our other unionized employees. Because we want to be fair to all of the valued city workers that literally make this city run each and every day. And we have 11 unions that represent those workers. A 23% increase for all 11 City of Hamilton unions would translate into $113 million, $113 million over the next 4 years. Already, the city's treasurer, Mike Zygarek, has provided a budget outlook for 2024 with a 14% property tax increase, which council is committed to paring down to something more reasonable. We simply cannot put more costs on the people of Hamilton, not at this difficult moment in time. The fact is, the wage increase offered by the city addresses the inflationary pressures that transit workers are under, just like everyone else. It maintains the HSR's position as the third highest paid transit worker group in comparable municipalities, behind only Brampton and Mississauga, both much larger communities. And it is consistent with our agreements with other unionized workers. City Council is unwavering and unanimous in its position that the city's offer is fair, it's reasonable, and it cannot be increased without significant financial hardship for Hamilton residents. Council is also resolved on this front. We will not let this bargaining process change who we are as a city. We will not let it turn people against each other or make people feel disrespected. We will be factual and forthcoming about where we stand with our workers and with the public. We will support our union's rights to strike, and we will ask them to do it safely and with respect to our residents and fellow workers. In 1998, the strike ended after 12 weeks, when the union accepted the city's offer as originally extended. ATU Local 107 President Eric Tuck was a driver at the time, and he was quoted in the paper saying, "I think it's the best we're going to get under the circumstances." Mr. Tuck's dedication to his work and to his members is absolutely admirable. And I think we can reach a resolution on behalf of our transit workers much faster this time around. I'm now going to hand it over to Acting City Manager Carlisle Can, who will let you know about some measures in place to help the public through this disruption. Thank you. Carlisle?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everyone. I am Carlisle Can, the Acting City Manager, and in my usual capacity, I am the General Manager for Public Works. That means HSR workers are part of my team. That means HSR workers are part of my responsibility. I take that very seriously. I take it seriously when they're hard at work. I take it seriously when they're exercising their right to strike. We care deeply about our employees, and I take it seriously when they're exercising their right to strike. We care deeply about our employees, and we look forward to welcome them back when a resolution is achieved. And we will continue our relationship with mutual respect and support. That will not change with the beginning of this disruption. Every day, our transit workers help thousands of people move around the city. They help thousands of people get to work. They help thousands of students to get to school. They help thousands of people to get to appointments and also to get to friends and other places they need to go. I know that getting around the city during a transit disruption will be hard for many. I know that our transit workers do not want the public to be negatively impacted as a result of the ongoing strike. The city will do everything we can to reach a resolution to lessen the impact of the disruption on the people of Hamilton while the strike is happening. Of note, DART's delivery of specialized transit service will not be affected. All existing booked trips will remain in place and no changes on how trips are booked or delivered. If you purchased a monthly pass, HSR will automatically issue a refund back to your Presto card based on the number of days of service the transit was not operating once the strike is resolved. We will also be working to make sure that traffic moves smoothly throughout the city. We will be working to ensure parking is available and support all our residents and partners through this time. We've reached out to community agencies to extend refunds on bulk ticket purchases so that they can use the funds differently at this time. We've connected with the school boards and post-secondary institutions as they implement their contingency plans. We encourage all employers to accommodate the ability to work from home where possible, and to understand those who may need a little time to get to work. We know this will cause traffic delays throughout the city, and we remind all motorists to leave extra time for travel. We encourage people to treat striking transit workers with kindness and respect, and ask that they extend the same courtesy to all fellow Hamiltonians. We are here to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Horvath and Carlisle. We will now go to members of the media for questions, and we will call upon you to ask your questions one at a time. With that, our first media partner is John Letherby from KX 94.7. John, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I was muted there. Thanks for taking my question. Mayor, I was wondering if you might be able to let us know in terms of, you talk about hopefully this won't go as long as the previous strike did 25 years ago. What efforts are being made to try to be able to reach out to the union to say this has to be ended as soon as possible, considering as well, this seems to coincide at the time, unfortunately for you, Grey Cup week hits the city of Hamilton.
Okay, well, thanks, John. And you got a couple of pieces in there. Before I go to specifically the ongoing situation and trying to end the strike quickly and the Grey Cup, there's something actually that I wanted to raise. I want to address an issue of fairness and clarify something that's been, in my opinion, misrepresented. My office has been getting calls from residents who've been misled about a pay increase to non-unionized employees that happened recently. So when I said during my remarks that we're being consistent as a city, I meant that. The fact is, a review of our compensation showed that Hamilton's non-unionized employees were below the 50th percentile in wages. That means they were in the bottom half of salaries being made in comparison to what people in similar jobs were earning in other comparable cities. I know that when people hear the words non-unionized, they think of top managers, but the largest increases provided went to receptionists and admin assistants and clerks. You know as well as I do that most of those roles are predominantly held by women who have long experienced gender wage gaps that must be corrected. We brought those workers up to the 50th percentile, so their salaries are now in the middle of the salary ranges with other comparable cities. Our HSR workers are already ranked in the top 3 highest paid transit workers with other comparable cities. They're at the 83rd percentile. That's why council approved wage adjustments for the non-unionized staff for fairness, and as it was affecting our ability to hire and retain staff. Our turnover rate is now about 5.23% as opposed to around 9.9% last year. The vast majority of these adjustments were below the number being used by ATU, and we want to be, as I said, and we must be fair to all of our workers. Now, particularly, John, on the things that you touched on, we are ready to go back to the table at any time, and we've made that very clear. We've extended many offers to bargain over many months since February, and we are ready to go back to the table this afternoon if that's what the union decides they want to do. What I can tell you when it comes to the Grey Cup is it's going to be an exciting week It is going to be a fantastic week, and I know that I'm excited about it. I think the CFL is going to put on a fantastic show along with the Hamilton Sports Group, and we are going to see people from all over the country come to our great city. I can tell you one thing about the city of Hamilton. We love our football, and we love our working people, and so it's a celebration that's going to continue, and I'm sure a great time is going to be had by all. Thank you.
John, if you have additional questions, you can go ahead.
Okay, just maybe one follow-up, and again to you, Your Worship, if I may. Since you had success in doing this a quarter of a century ago, do you see yourself, if need be, taking an active role or reprising a role like you did 25 years ago?
Well, I think in the fact that I'm the mayor, I by default already have that role, John, and that's why I'm here to talk to the people of Hamilton and to the striking workers, as well as all workers that are employees of the city of Hamilton. I don't have to call anybody in, as the regional chair did at the time, because I come with the values that I hold, and I come with the history that I have in terms of respecting unionized workers, respecting collective bargaining, and the process that's necessary. I also wear the hat, though, as you know, as the mayor of this city, and so I have to look at the entire city and a path forward that's, as I said, fair to all city workers, while at the same time being respectful and thoughtful about the property tax pressures that we have as a city as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John and Mayor Horvath. Next, we'll go to Al Sweeney from CHCH News. Al, if you have a question, you can go ahead.
Sorry, no questions. You've answered a lot of my questions already. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Al. Appreciate that. Next, we have Tevia Morrow from the Hamilton Spectator. Tevia, if you have a question, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Michelle. Yes, I have a question for Laura Fontana. Laura, I was wondering if you could, the mayor touched on a little bit about being, willing to go back to the table even this afternoon, if possible. Could you walk us through, because it's a complex sort of labor situation for many, what are the opportunities and what might be the next steps? When might we see something like that?
So thanks for the question, Tevia. As the mayor said, we are always ready and available to go back to the table. What the mayor also said is that the offer that we made is a final offer. It's fair, it's reasonable, and it will not change. I think it's important to remember that we have 8,000 or over 8,000 employees at the city, and 75% of those employees are unionized. We're currently at the table with 6 other unions. So it's very important that we're mindful of the impact of this round of collective bargaining on the other rounds of collective bargaining that we're currently participating in. I think you know that we recently ratified with CUPE 5167, which is our largest union, inside-outside workers. And the offer that we presented to the ATU is very similar to what we ratified with CUPE 5167. So while we remain available at any time and as early as this afternoon, absolutely, we also have to be mindful that the expectations remain in check, and that we don't have anything more to offer, and that the next round of bargaining and talks need to respect the current final offer that's on the table.
I see. Sorry, Michelle, can I have a follow-up, please, for
Of course, Tevia, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks a lot. I was wondering, Mayor Horvath, is there something, I'll let you walk up to the front there. Thanks. Is there something different, do you think, this time around than as my colleague pointed out in 1998? Is there something different about the situation? For instance, I can't really remember what inflation was like in 1998. I have to look that up. But the union, for example, has said, cost of living, in particular for Hamilton, it could be housing, could be a number of things they're talking about. Inflation are factors. So notwithstanding the fact that they're, I think you said in the 83rd percentile compared to other cities, I think they're flagging that as an issue. So that's kind of a double barrel question for you.
Sure. I think that one similarity that is quite apparent is that there was an expectation, I think, last time that the labor disruption would be, I guess, settled because there was a breakup in the horizon. And I think the same tactic is being used by the union this time. It didn't succeed last time. It's obviously not succeeding this time. So that's one of the similarities. I don't remember the the situation in terms of all of the other financial pressures that people were facing back then either. But what I can tell you is I'm very cognizant of the financial pressures that people are facing today in our city. And whether it's the cost of putting a roof over your head and keeping it there, whether it's your mortgage, whether it's your rent, whether it's being able to go to the grocery store and buy the things you need to feed yourself and your family, whether it's just the cost of everyday life, it impacts all of us. And that's why I made sure to note that our situation as a city is also impacted by some of those inflationary pressures, which was part of the treasurer's outlook that he gave to the city council in terms of the first budget review, the first budget outlook that we had. As we go through this process of maintaining fairness across all city workers through the bargaining process and otherwise, as I described, we need to also recognize that if we were to provide that 23% that the transit workers are asking for years to our entire workforce at the City of Hamilton, even just the unionized workforce, as Laura Fontana was describing, that's a budget pressure of $113 million over that time frame. That has to be paid for by property taxpayers and or transit rates. So we really are trying to be fair to everyone, to working people who are going through the very important collective bargaining process, both ATU and the other unions, as well as the the riders of the HSR and the taxpayers, property taxpayers of the City of Hamilton. I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you.
Tevye, if you have another question, you're welcome to go ahead. I thought I'd give you that opportunity.
Oh, thank you very much, Michelle. I was wondering if, Mayor Horvath, you talk about the financial pressures of the city and property taxpayers. Surely you're aware of what sort of financial hit this could, the strike could incur for the city as a whole.
Well, absolutely, and this is something that that council has been asking for some clarity around as well. We have a very vibrant city, and we have a lot of people who use our transit system to get to work, to travel from one end of the city to another, from the mountain down to the lower city. We have vibrant downtowns in all of our communities that people rely on transit not only to engage in those activities in our business districts, for example, but also to get to appointments, as Carlisle was saying, to go visit with friends and family members. And so it's not only a matter of a financial challenge, if you will, it's also an acknowledgement and recognition that this is going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but we're going to do everything we can to help get people through this disruption while we try to resolve the outstanding issues with the strike. Is that responsive?
Sure. Yes. Thank you. Is there any wiggle room at all? I mean, how long can this go on? And what for example, was the what was sort of the magic silver bullet in the 1998 strike that brought it to an end? And can you replicate that?
I think that I don't know that there's ever a magic bullet. That strike went on for 12 weeks. And as I said, that's a long time. I mean, that's 3 months. We certainly don't want to see that happen this time. But the other circumstances, maybe I neglected to reflect on that, that is the same, is that council is solidly and unanimously behind the responsibility that we have to put a fair final offer on the table, which the union did ask us to do. They asked for our final offer because I believe they were looking to the Grey Cup, as I've already mentioned, as a factor in withdrawing their labor and trying to force a higher amount from the city. But that's not where the council is. We were very much unanimous and very much resolved in our commitment to holding the final offer at where it is. So the ball really is in the court of the union at this point in time, and the members, and I think that's not so different, really, Tevye, from what happened all those years ago.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Horvath. We'll now go to CP24, and I believe we have Jenna Davey, Dan Taylor, and Ian Caldwell from CP24. So if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and asking your questions, that would be appreciated. Okay, I'm not seeing CP24. That's okay. We'll move on to Bobby Herstova from CBC Hamilton. Bobby, if you could unmute yourself and ask your questions, that would be appreciated.
Thank you very much. I hope you're having a great day. Well, obviously, aside from all this. My first question, for whoever wants to answer, maybe the mayor, but whoever can answer it. I see that Metrolinx says that it'll be shuttling people for Remembrance Day, veterans, and also providing a shuttle for the Grey Cup. Some people are perceiving that to be like a scab, them kind of interjecting here. So I'm wondering, did the city ask Metrolinx to do this? And what message is that sending to HSR workers on the picket line? Because we've heard from HSR workers that they intend to block any Metrolinx scabs, so to speak.
I can tell you, Bobby, unequivocally that the city had nothing to do with what Metrolinx has decided to undertake. It has nothing to do with the city, and I want people to know that. It's important. It's important for the transit workers who are striking, ATU workers 107, but it's also important for the people of Hamilton to know, because as you know, we are a labor town. And I want to tell you all, as the mayor of the city, that it is absolutely not true that we have anything to do with the decisions that Metrolinx is making.
Thank you for that. And the second part of that question, what message do you think that is sending, though, because they are perceiving this to be a scab and saying they're going to potentially block Metrolinx from doing this?
Well, again, all I can do is speak to the facts, and I want to reiterate the fact. The fact is, this is not something that the city has any control over or any role in, and I think people need to stick to the facts when it comes to this kind of situation. And that's all I would ask, is that people recognize that the fact is we have nothing as a city to do with all of this, and whatever decisions the local makes, the ATU makes, those are their decisions to make.
Thank you for that. We've heard a lot about money, financial impact, but one of the things we heard from workers as well is they want, like a real washroom break, a real meal break. Many of them say they can't get those on the job. Is that part of the discussion here? And can you tell me more about what you're doing there?
I'll answer really briefly, and then I'll hand it over to Laura. But I want to be clear that the city and the council have been working very hard to address the washroom issues that have been raised in the past. That's an ongoing effort, and we're going to continue to listen and to try to address going forward the challenges that are raised by the members of the ATU. I'll send it over to Laura, but I just we care about our workers. We care about the situations that they face on the job. They raised it, I believe, last time in bargaining, and we've been working diligently to try to address those challenges. I do want to reiterate, though, which I said at the beginning off the top, the fact of the matter is this strike is about wages and wages only. 12.75% is the fair and equitable solution that we managed to negotiate with the QP workers, some 3,000 workers, inside and outside workers in the city of Hamilton. 23% is just not doable. And so I want to say again, this is about fairness and about making sure that we're treating all of our workers with the respect and fairness that they deserve. I'll hand it over to Laura. Something, Laura?
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to add the issue of washroom breaks and washroom facilities has been a long-standing issue with the ATU, and we have addressed it over the years. There are facilities for washroom breaks at each end of the line for the bus operators. And I can tell you, after 29 days of bargaining with the ATU, this has been a very minor issue. We've not spent hardly any time discussing it. It has been addressed and resolved, in our opinion. As the mayor says, the majority of discussions at the table for the past 29 bargaining dates has been about wages, and primarily wages only.
Bobby, if you have any additional questions, you can go ahead.
I appreciate that. I do. I guess, and I didn't hear, I got in just a little late, so apologies for that if it's already been said. But I remember Carlisle saying a couple days ago, and this maybe is a question for you, that, you know, there were no plans to make any other transit options more accessible, but there were, because it was still early days, you were saying. Obviously, the strike's here now. So are you going to make other transit options or commuting options easier or more accessible, like, you know, e-scooters, SoBe, anything like that?
Thank you for the question. Staff are working on making e-scooters and the bike share program more accessible. We're working with our partners there. We're trying to negotiate a reduction in cost based on the current contract. So definitely we are looking at those things, and we're trying to make it easier and more accessible. In addition, we're trying to make parking available at our municipal lots and also on-site road parking, and a way to identify that to people who are driving in or moving through the city.
I thank you for that. And I guess this kind of ties into a question I asked earlier, which is, you know, if the city is putting in measures to make it easier for people to get around, does that not send a message to HSR saying, well, look, we can do this without you. People can still get around without HSR. I see the mayor shaking your head, so if you want to address that, feel free. But
I'll start and then I'll pass it to the mayor, if that's okay. We understand the impact that this strike has on the city and Hamiltonians. And during the strike, while we respect their right to strike, we're doing everything possible to lessen that impact. At the end of this, we need to go back and continue to run the city. We will be working together, and we will do everything within our means to make sure that we get to that point where we can get back and do the work that we need to get done. I'll pass it to the mayor.
Sure, I would just, thanks, Carlisle. I would just repeat, Bobby, what Carlisle has said, and I'm not going to say it again, but it's very, very clear that the HSR is an extremely important service to the people of Hamilton, and we're committed to the strike ends. We do everything we can to get the riders back and the system up and running in a way that that gets people where they need to go. And let's not forget, the council has approved significant investments in our transit system, and we continue to expand our transit system, and that's what we're committed to doing, because we know that not only do people need and deserve a viable functioning transit system because it helps people get around the city, but we also know that transit systems take cars off roads, which is one of the values I think that our council members and our community, members of our community, residents of Hamilton, share.
Thank you very much. And my final question, if I may, for you, Mayor, you stood on picket lines and with organized labor. Now you are effectively the boss that workers are striking against. What is that like for you?
Well, it's not the first time that I've faced this kind of a situation, and that's why I thought it was important to have this conversation through all of you, with all of you, and also directly to the people of Hamilton. People know my values. They know that I respect the bargaining process. They know that I'm very much respectful of organized labor and have a good relationship with organized labor. As the head of the city, I wear many hats. And today, I'm here to say we are committed to an agreement that is fair amongst all of the workers of the city of Hamilton, and we are open to having the union come back to the table at any time. But the City of Hamilton Council are unanimous and firm in our position that the offer that's on the table is in fact the final offer. We have lots of competing interests, and we need to make sure that that fairness is maintained not only across bargaining units, but also for the people who are taxpayers of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Horvath. Next, we will go to Ruxar Ali from 900 CHML. Ruxar, if you have a question, you can go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Very fantastic. I'm going to follow up on one of Bobby's questions. So this might be for Carlisle. You mentioned the plans for alternative transportation and making rideshare more accessible, but people outside the lower city have trouble accessing certain, services like these. So for the people that can't get to these services, are there other kind of accommodations being made or plans for transportation for them as long as the strike goes on?
Thank you for the question. As we get through the strike, and then our hope is to settle sooner than later, as Laura Montana indicated, we're willing to get back to the table as early as this afternoon. We will be looking at alternative ways and coming forward with recommended solutions or ways of mitigating the impact, the negative impact. As you get further and further out the downtown core, yes, without a doubt, we are looking at what is available and what can we make available as we move forward. But those details are still in the works, and we continue to remain positive on the front of striking a deal, but we're also being diligent in our planning as we continue to move forward.
Thanks. And my next question might be for the mayor. I'm going to bring it back to Grey Cup weekend. So has the city started thinking about contingency plans? If the strike does go on that long, how will people be able to get around? Is there a plan for that?
Well, as I said, I believe that the Grey Cup is going to be a fantastic festival, a fantastic game. And the people of the city of Hamilton love our football for sure. And we're bringing people from all around the country into Hamilton. And so I know that the folks who are running the Grey Cup, particularly the CFL, as well as the Hamilton Sports Group, are working very diligently to make sure that people can come down to the game and enjoy not only Sunday's festivities and activities, but you'll know that on James Street North, we have the festival that's going to be starting, I believe, on the Thursday. That Carrie Underwood is going to be performing. It is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of great activity. And I know that those folks are working really hard to make sure that people are able to enjoy. Do I hope that we're not in a situation where we're still in a transit stoppage? Absolutely, I hope that. Whether that's able to be realized, I don't know. But I do know that those folks who are putting on the Grey Cup and the festival and the Santa Claus Parade and all of those things are working hard to make sure that everybody has a chance to have a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Suzette Francis from Global News. Suzette, if you have a question, you can go ahead now by unmuting your microphone. Thank you. No worries, we will move along. Next, we have Julie Aronlassi from City News Toronto. Julie, if you're there, you can unmute your mic and ask your questions. Okay. It looks like we've wrapped up our media partner questions. So that concludes today's media availability. If there are any additional questions from members of the media, please feel free to email mediarelations@hamilton.ca, and a member of our team will follow up with the additional information you're looking for. I'd like to thank each of you for joining us today, and have a great day.